Series Reviews Editor on Electric Pig. We're going to run through the Nokia N8 today. This is the Nokia N8, as if you needed telling. We're going to focus on its camera, what makes it so special, and then we're going to stop towards the end and answer some questions that you've got along the way. A few people have left them in comments across the site already, so we've got a few backed up, but don't be shy. Anything you need to know, just ping us a note, and you can do that in lots of different ways. You can email editor@electricpig.co.uk and the emails will land on our screen here. Or you can send us a message through Twitter. We're just @electricpig. If you're not on Twitter, you don't fancy emailing, why not drop us a comment through Facebook? Ben's going to be checking Facebook as well as Twitter often. So just head over to facebook.com/electricpig and you can write on our wall there. Ask us any questions you like through that. Lastly, we've got, if you look below, a live chat window which you can use to ask us any questions kind of as we go along, and we'll keep an eye on that too. So it's just gone 2 o'clock. We better get started. Let's start with the hardware. And to begin with, we thought it would be handy to run through the Nokia N8 camera, what makes it so special, what really is underneath this kind of metal shell. And to begin with, it's 12 megapixel camera. That's the stat that I'm sure you've seen bandied around. So what does 12 megapixels mean? Well, it's more than your average compact camera. And so what, you might say, there have been 12 megapixel cameras before, and you'd be right, but the difference here isn't so much 12 megapixels, although that is quite important. It's about the technology and the quality that Nokia have put behind it. So behind this lens, there's the biggest sensor that's ever been in a camera phone. It's actually larger than some compact cameras. And to put it in perspective, it's 25 millimeters by 45 millimeters. It's also the same kind of size and shape as a traditional kind of film camera. So the pictures that you get out of it look more like a digital camera than a camera phone. And by having that bigger space, it means that the pixels that pick up light on the sensor itself are less crammed together. So a 12 megapixel camera sensor that's big will give you the same number of pixels but in a bigger space. That means that there's less heat between the pixels, there's less distortion, there's less noise and interference, so generally you just get better looking pictures. They're less grainy, they don't have as many what are called artifacts, and they just look nicer when you hit that shutter button, which is a dedicated shutter button, and it's just there. It's next to volume buttons which double up as zoom, as you kind of expect. That's not the only unusual thing about the Nokia N8 though. As well as that huge sensor, there's a mechanical shutter inside there, which is exactly the same as you find on, again, a proper camera, a compact camera. And it's very, very rare on camera phones. I think Nokia have done one before, which might be the N86, which had a mechanical shutter. And the reason they've put it in is for speed of photos. So you might have seen a couple of weeks ago there are a lot of examples doing the rounds of distorted camera phone shots that look really strange. Some of them are actually quite cool effects, but they're not what you want when you take a picture. And that's because traditionally you've got a sensor that's a square, and when your phone takes a picture, it updates all the pixels kind of in columns or in rows from one side to the other. And that means that actually what it captures on the left side might be slightly before or after what's on the right side. And that's fine. If I was just taking a picture of Ben, it'd be fine because he's not going to move, he's not that quick, and it would be fine for a quick still. If you take a picture of, say, a car or some helicopter rotor blades or anything that's moving fast, then they actually move between the updates from the left and the right, and that's when you get distortion on what looks like a wobbly picture. The N8 doesn't have that because it's got a really fast camera. The other thing is that it's very responsive when you hit that shutter. Nokia say that the response time, or the shutter lag, is down to 150 milliseconds. Average human perception is around 250. Some people are really sharp and can sense a little bit quicker than that, but either way you're not going to be as fast as this, which means when you press the button it takes a picture, and there's no kind of press the button and half a second later you get something that is too late. So it's impossible, almost impossible, to perceive the shutter lag on the N8. The flash as well, right above the camera there, is worthy of mention because it's a special one. It's a xenon flash, which is again very similar to what you get in a proper camera. It's quite rare on camera phones. There were some Sony Ericsson Cybershot phones that has xenon flash, and to be honest, it was their best feature because it really makes a difference when you take pictures in low light. I'll put it in perspective versus LED flashes that you get on other camera phones. A xenon flash is so bright and so fast. It illuminates, I've got some stats, 3.5 meters outdoors or 5 meters indoors. And if you think about that indoors one for a second, 5 meters is probably about the length of your average lounge. So that's a long way for a small pocket-sized device to throw light, and it's enough light to illuminate a subject. So you're not going to have dull nightclub photos with this. It's a proper camera in a phone. Autofocus, I'll just quickly mention that because it's very quick itself. In practice, Nokia reckons it will focus on targets with about 350 milliseconds, which is just over a third of a second. In practice, we've been trying it. It's quick. It's not that quick. I think Nokia might be taking the best, the best case scenario. If you've just taken a picture and you take a picture of something that's, say, that far away and then move it to something that's ever so slightly closer, yeah, it's almost instant. It's probably around that 350 milliseconds. If you're going from something that's really close to something that's far away, then it takes a bit longer than that. It takes about half a second, but it's very, very quick. And again, it's quicker than, I use an iPhone 4. It's a lot quicker than that, which tends to wobble in and out before it takes a photo. And lastly is Carl Zeiss optics, which are in the N8. They're roundabout. You won't really see them. There's a tiny little bit of text there to tell you it's Carl Zeiss. What they mean is, and a lot of people get this wrong when you read a lot of reviews online, they talk about sharpness. And sharpness isn't what good optics do. They help, but they're not the be all and end all. Sharpness is how you perceive the edge of an object or edges in picture. What great optics give you is detail, which means if you take a picture of a leaf, okay, you'd expect to be able to see the edge of the leaf, but detail should show you the veins of the leaf, or or the creases in it.